Hello everyone. You probably already know me, though not personally. Lucky you. My name is Jeff, and over the past few years my story has traveled quite far, becoming something of a legend. I've come across countless blogs and false stories about the so-called Jeff the Killer, but almost all of them were completely or mostly wrong. Still, I find it quite amusing to see how people have put photoshopped images online with fan fiction and even programmed video games. As I write this, I'm taking a hard risk as the cops could trace my PC. But when I'm finished, will disappear from the net, this thing will go up in flames. A few days ago, I read a story that everyone believes is the true How I Became a Killer story. To be precise, some things are absolutely true, but others didn't happen that way. You're probably wondering how the person who published my story could know me so well, and above all, understand the strange feeling that overcame me. Well, I met this person personally. A boy named Simon, one of these nerds who are into paranormal stuff, whom I met one of these numerous online chats. I told him every detail, but a few weeks later, on October the 3rd, 2008, this video appeared on YouTube that destroyed my supposedly true story, where I was first called Jeff the Killer. I quite liked the name, so I decided to make it a hallmark of each of my murders. That was when I became known by that name. In Simon's story, there were many completely absurd assumptions, which quite disappoint me, but I decided against paying him a visit, as I was still grateful that he hated me and made known. After this back and forth of terrorizing messages, my victims involved fall into fear and horror they deserved. But first, I must clarify what in the Jeff the Killer story is true and what isn't. As for the beginning, everything is correct. We had just moved and Leo and I didn't like it. All that we had to leave our home and all our friends behind, which is why we were very skeptical of the small town. And as you already know, the welcome from the people there wasn't exactly the best. After the bastard Randy and his gang of psych fans attacked us, I admit that it felt vulnerable to stick my knife into Cave's arm, and I still regret it to this day that I didn't finish when I started. When I heard Randy's bone crack and a feeling of pure happiness pierced my body, and a hook I shoved into Troy also made me euphoric. When I saw my little boy's terrified look, I held back my base instincts for his sake. I would never have allowed everything to happen to him. So you can imagine how I felt when I saw him take all the blame in front of the cops. The inextricable pain began to destroy my heart and my mind, and everything that I had locked inside me all these past days was ready to explode in a destructive flame. Little Billy's party was my last chance to heal all the wounds, but even in this case, the universe was far too cruel. I tried to resist my desire to fight Randy when he burst into the party. I let myself be beaten to a pulp, but when he dragged Leo into it, my soul broke irreparably. It wasn't pure madness or bloodlust that overcame me, but a mix, crazy, of both. Revenge. I had to take revenge for all the evil, the resentment and all the meanness that the world and my life had inflicted on me, and the only way to wash away the grief was blood. I killed. I killed everything that didn't allow me to be happy. And when I killed, I was happy. With the taste of blood that I had spewed in the house, I fell into ecstasy. But Cave put an end to it when he set me on fire. In the hospital, after weeks of treatment, all my sense returned. When we moved all the bandages around my face, I saw a bunch of relatives around me. But their faces were different from how I remembered them. No happiness, no affection or love, only fear. The only one who stayed close to me was my brother Leo, even though he put on a poorly played smile. It doesn't look that bad. I ran into the bathroom, and as you know, I was overwhelmed by my face. I'd finally become happy. The scars were the trophies of my victory and the sign of what evil could do. From here on, the story deviated from what Simon wrote. The moment when I was home, Simon's version of course had this shock effect, where you're afraid to get out at night with a monster in front of you saying, "Go to sleep." In reality, this was a sleepless night. I was happy about my murders, but something was missing. Something separated me from happiness. At night, it's normal for a fog to flop faster than during the day. My thoughts were racing, overwhelmed by madness. I thought about how I could smile despite the circumstances. Yes, it's true, I carried a fake smile into my cheeks, believing that this would bring my back happiness. I didn't get to the point of cutting my eyelids or even burning them. The black rims came from the flames, where it would remain for the rest of my life. But the eyes are important, part of a person's character. After all, a person's eyes reflect their soul, and mine was burned like my fear. When I realized that I couldn't be happy despite a permanent smile, I realized that only one thing could fill this gap. Once again, it was revenge. I tried to convince myself not to inflict on innocent children the same suffering that I had to feel. I, too, was an innocent child until pain turned me into this monster. There was no turning back. All unfair, evil or cruel people would disappear from the scene, and would find their death for the one who had to feel all this on his own body. Where would be my goal? To fight evil with evil. Of course, my mother thought I was crazy when she saw how I had disfigured myself. She entered the bathroom, but I didn't try to reassure her. It was normal for her to be afraid of the monster I had become. Still, I didn't want to scare her unnecessarily anymore, and I certainly didn't say something like, "What's wrong, Mom? Don't you like me? Who else on this earth should I have pleased if not myself?" My mother was terrified, but she didn't say a word and ran into my father's room. I knew that she would have had me locked up and that I would never have been able to carry out my revenge. And also that I was no longer his son, but just a different Mary. Frightened, I let the bloody knife out to the floor, and before either of them could stop me, I locked them in the room and left the key on the floor. Angry, agitated, and also depressed, I wrote a quick message saying that I couldn't return, that it was pointless to look for me, and that I still loved my parents and my brother. I picked up the knife again and crept into Leo's room, where he lay, my little brother, the one I loved even more than myself. I can't believe that everyone thinks I killed him. I heard the police sirens. It was clear that my parents would call them. Leo jumped up instantly. After the days in jail that Louis had spent, he had to be more afraid than I could be. I came closer, and Leo couldn't suppress a scream. I put my hand over his mouth and said his famous, misinterpreted sentence. Shh. Go to sleep, Leo. Go to sleep. I only said this to assure him that we weren't looking for him this time. Once again, he was the only one who could understand me. He remained calm and looked at me with a look full of love instead of fear. I pressed the written letter into his hand and opened the window to the side of the property, where the police couldn't see me. Jeff, he said softly. I looked into his eyes one last time and said, Go to sleep. I jumped onto the window sill and made sure there were no police officers there and jumped down, leaving behind the lives of my parents and my beloved brother Leo. This is the true story of what happened in those days. The reason why everyone calls me Jeff the Killer. The reason why I kill who I kill and why I enjoy doing it so incredibly much. I didn't write the truth that you could pity me. On the contrary, I pity you if you are not a good person and are reading this. I'm not a heroic avenger. I'm not a hero. Heroes are kind and brave. I'm not of that. I'm cruel to those who are cruel, and I spare no one this suffering. I thirst for evil blood and to see how it flow from the bodies of those who deserve it. Slenderman, Ice Jack, Ben Drowned, and all the other beloved characters people now call creepypastas are not real, but are existing.